why you always tripping, man?
I know, calm your boy
I
down.
mean, you got a father, man.
And you got a grandmother and a grandfather. And I'm pretty sure they tell you everything that my father tell me. But you don't listen anyway, so what's the difference?
No, man. Hold on. Mr. Butler, man. I'm just curious to know what's up. You know, Sharif be coming at us every day. You know what I mean?
Straight up.
Why does he act like this? I mean, what are y'all talking about at home?
He's a good guy, man.
And one of the things I think that really it kind of encapsulates everyone is that not only do many of us not have a vision of our history in a I guess functional way, but we also don't have a real vision of our future. So we don't have any sort of goal set for us as well. I would think that...
What you're speaking... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, my brother.
I was going to say that you raised a very important point, an extremely important point. Earlier today, downtown here in Philadelphia, I was doing a presentation to a group of African-American tutors. They go into the schools around Philadelphia, and they work with our kindergarten to third grade children. And they asked me, how do we get these children's attention? We're trying to help them, but they're not paying attention. They don't seem like they want to be bothered. I said, because there can be no imparting of knowledge, wisdom, or understanding to a youth if you haven't first made that knowledge, wisdom, or understanding relevant in the youth's life. Children don't learn unless they understand the obvious necessity of what they're being taught. It's the same thing as it relates to African consciousness. It's the exact same thing. Our children are trying to find a way to connect the dots from the great past that we're teaching them to their present and on to the future. What you just hit on, my brother, is one of the biggest contradictions in black consciousness. Our whole focus is on what we used to be. 95% of our scholars are dealing with what we used to be. Who in the hell is dealing with our problems now? And who is dealing with what we're trying to become in the next 5,000 years? Our total scholarship, almost exclusively, is focused on the past. With the exception of a few people like Dr. Claude Anderson, myself, and others, we're dealing with the present and we're dealing with the future. But if you look at most of our scholars, they have a past tense orientation. So when you come to the child with a past tense orientation, they need to know their history. But guess what? If all you're going to teach them every day, all day, is their history, and you're not going to talk to them about mass incarceration and try to do something about it, you're not going to talk to them about unemployment and try to do something about it, you're not going to talk to them about community violence and try to do something about it, you're not going to talk to them about male-female relationships or homosexuality or child molestation and do something about it, if you're only coming here to tell me what used to go on, without coming here with some solutions for what we can do right now, and more importantly, how we can project ourselves successfully into the future, ultimately, your history, no matter how valuable it is, sooner or later is going to become irrelevant to them. In other words, it's like when someone shows up on your doorstep and they want to sell you something. When you open up that door, they know they got about 2 minutes to grab your attention. 2 minutes. If they do not show the relevance of that vacuum cleaner, if they do not show the relevance of that set of steak knives, if they do not show the relevance of why you need to get some cable television in your life within 120 seconds, you're going to tell them, excuse me, and you're going to shut the door. People are always looking for how this benefits me. And when we get their attention, we got to be able to give them something after we get their attention, because if we don't, they're going to drop back into the abysmal sea of unconsciousness. And our problem with the political struggle, the revolutionary struggle, the conscious community, is what we really are doing is we're replicating church. We're having church. We have black conscious church. It's no different than going to Catholic Mass on Saturday. It's no different than going to Juma prayer Friday afternoon. It's no different than going to the church on Sunday morning, because it is church. We have the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. We have Blueprint for Black Power. Okay, we have Dr. Ben's books. We got all these books. That's the Bible. Then you got all the lecturers and all the scholars. They ain't nothing but preachers and pastors. You follow?
Yeah.
Where's the action? We're no different than church. So the children are running away from church. They're running away from the mosque, and they're running away from black consciousness. Because they'll tell you in a minute, the only thing I see different between you guys and those guys is that you're dealing with history and they're dealing with religion. That's the only difference we're seeing. They ain't got no jobs for us. Y'all ain't got no jobs for us. They ain't got a program for mass incarceration. Y'all ain't got a program for mass incarceration. At the end of the day, you and the pastor are one and the same. Both of y'all do the same thing. Talk about history. Let's look at a pastor or imam. What it is, their whole sermon, the whole khutbah is based on the Bible or the Quran, a history book. So when they talk about Jesus, Abraham, Muhammad, they're talking about history. They're teaching history. And although we know a lot of that stuff is not true, it's still from a historical perspective. So what the average African youth is trying to figure out is, why is you bringing me more history when all I'm getting is a history lesson on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? I would at least expect that when I'm dealing with the black conscious people, after they give me a history lesson, they're going to give me a discussion on contemporary issues so we can deal with how we're going to deal with our situation in front of us.